Okay, going on. This is the second video today. I want to finish this story because I really want to go to other things. And I'm not really telling you the story. I'm just telling you about the main character in the sequel to Resurrection, Mmon's Metamorphosis. Well, his father's money was very much invested in real estate. And I think I said the smartest thing he probably ever did, and he was a natural at this, he was able to perceive a threat. And it was the threat offered by the very existence of the movie Resurrection. And he was also shrewd enough to realize that the character to get, the actor or whatever, it was the old man, get the old man. I mean, as this sequel is built, get that old man. I'm referring to the character of Marion, because he was able to see there's where it all started with that old man. But I'll leave the plot to that, of a worded movie. Remember, Resurrection is a movie that has no words in it at all, not even Marion's name. I'll leave that for a screenplay writer. That won't be mine. But toward the end, what happens, again, back to the main character, is things weren't going quite as well as he hoped for in his political aspirations. And he decided on a publicity stunt. He was not above some pretty extreme publicity stunts. And he decided that he was going to visit another country, a country that's not easy to visit, but he figured he could do it because he had the money and the power. And he also felt that he would be able to understand that country a little bit better, because that country was also run by what many people would call a megalomaniac, like he clearly was. Well, it was such a different situation. Now remember, he was either not very smart or else not very well studied. And when he got to this country, he was greeted by the foreign leader. And the first thing he did, of course, was pointed to him and gave a big thumbs up, probably a double one, thumbs up. But what a faux pas. What he did not realize was in that country, thumbs up is a rude gesture. It's like shooting a bird. And nobody had told him that. So he pointed, he gave the thumbs up, and he was immediately arrested for that, because this was a country that was not necessary. Oh, he just didn't know. He was immediately arrested. You don't do that to the leader of the country. And he tried to make excuses. Well, I didn't know. I was trying to be friendly. I was saying, hey, he went. They would hear nothing of it. He had deeply insulted the leader of this country, and he was immediately arrested. And to his amazement, there wasn't a war fought. I mean, why wouldn't people fight a war to get him back? To protect him. Where were his followers? Well, he was in a place that it was beyond his understanding, beyond his influence. Well, as a result, there was no mercy on this. You just do not do that to the supreme leader. And whether you know it or not, he'd done it, and it had been filmed and everything. He was sentenced to hard labor. He was put in prison. He was sentenced to hard labor. And when they talked about it, should they make it a week? And some of them said, well, a week will kill him, fat man like that. Or maybe 5 years. I think they finally settled on 5 years, but there was some discussion about maybe he should just be worked to death, because that wasn't unheard of, people being worked to death. And there was quite a discussion, but it was in their language. And what would he have done in a situation like that? So I think they finally, and maybe he should have no parole, maybe 10 years, 5 years parole after. Anyway, he was clapped away, and there he was, hard labor. And it very nearly did kill him. He learned what it was like to work when your hands are bleeding from blisters. You have bleeding blisters, and you still have to go work. He had never done anything remotely like that. These fat little hands of his had never done that. They just done this and this. Well, anyway, but here's the amazing part. He survived. He survived that first week. He survived 5 years. And when he came out, he was a completely changed man. You might even say he was cured. You might think, oh, he's going to come out with a vengeance and really go at it. No. He came out, he was thin. He was strong. He'd always been strong, but he was carrying so much weight. They'd shaved his head when they put him in jail, but he let his hair grow. And what he'd done is he discovered his hands as not just his thumbs, but his opposable thumb that could actually do things, not just this and not just funny little gestures, but could actually make things. He discovered his hands. And he was genuinely a changed man. People had kind of forgotten about him in a way, but when he came back, I mean, they thought, well, what's going to happen now? He was genuinely changed. He had metamorphosed. His investments, well, he'd lost oodles of money because in the time that he was in prison, there had been a complete change in the myth of the time. People were not after huge apartment buildings and golf courses that you fly across an ocean to go play a few holes of golf and fly back. That myth of caring nothing at all about destroying the planet had changed rapidly. People now wanted, well, I won't go into that, but it's the kind of change that Resurrection, a movie like Resurrection, was about. But he did have some investments, ironically, because he had tried to stop the old man, stop that movie, by buying up all the little tiny deserted villages in Portugal that he could get his hands on. And he got them for almost nothing. Nobody wanted them at that time. So it was at the time, it seemed like an utterly foolish investment to do with his money because he was buying something that was worthless. But he did it because he said, I've got to stop that. So he had them. And during this period of time, things had changed. And now all of a sudden, that's where people wanted to be. They didn't want to be in big cities. They wanted to be on golf courses. They wanted to be working with their hands in the earth. Well, in any case, to make a long story short, he became a woofer. He gave all that stuff away in a gesture almost like what St. Francis of Assisi expected of his father. He gave it away, genuinely gave it away. He had enough where he didn't have to work, but then he became a woofer, and a good one. He was desirable because he was hard worker, and he loved his plants and he loved his gardening, so he was very much metamorphosed. There you go. Bye for now.